Fretan Barrow, a small, primitive town isolated in the midst of rolling hills and plentiful berry bushes. Visitors were rare, and excitement was even more so. Farmers, ranchers, artisans, a lone scientist, all lived happy, fulfilling, and, until now, unremarkable lives.
Raya! Raya, come on!
Hold on!
He's gonna start without us!
Go on without me. I'll catch up.
The 12-year-old Raya stopped to catch her breath. She pushed forward into the town center where, standing atop a rickety crate in fine lab clothes, was Vince Hannes, a brilliant young mind trapped in a time of technological drought. A crowd gathered around as he prepared his speech.
Can't be as bad as last time, can it? Well, I guess we'll see. I'm interested, to say the least.
Welcome, everyone. Glad a majority of you chose to come this time. How are you all doing today?
Hi, Hannes.
Hi, Adrianna.
Their eyes locked in a lingering gaze.
Get it over with, Hannes. I have got to get Hanky milked by sunset.
Don't you worry, Miss Pelta. I'll have all of this done before Hanky even knows you've left. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the latest in modern conveniences, a waxless light.
Actually, doesn't look too bad. Kind of interesting. I wonder what it's supposed to do.
Just think, you're looking to light the candles in your house. You prep the lens, but alas, the clouds prevent you from getting the wicker light. You reach for your flint and steel only to nick your finger between them as you strike. No more, as lighting your room has become as simple as twisting a knob.
Well, can you light it?
Yes. Well, eventually.
Eventually? Well, ain't it finished?
Yes, but I am having a bit of trouble powering it. As of now, they only work during lightning storms.
What good is that shit then?
It's simply a prototype. But I assure you, by the end of next season, we will be completely candle-free.
What about the tallow from my butcher shop? How the hell am I supposed to make a living?
Unless I'm mistaken, you sell meat too?
Well, how long do you replace that?
What? Everyone, please! Calm down! Wait, where are you all going? Doesn't anyone want to hold it or learn how it works?
As the crowd began to disperse, Iris, an older woman with silver hair, lingered behind. She grabbed Hannes' hand lovingly.
Good try, dear. Don't worry about them.
Thanks, Mother... Iris.
Keep up the good work.
Adrianna walked somberly to Hannes' side to give him a warm embrace.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. It was stupid of me to come out with this so soon.
I'll hold it.
Oh, hello, Raya. Promise not to drop this one?
I never try to drop them.
You sure had me fooled. How'd you like the presentation?
Bit boring, but good.
Oh, that's great to hear, I guess.
Ignore her. She's a kid. She only comes on the off chance you make something she can play with.
I've never made anything like that before.
Tell that to your big metal tower.
Wait, the lightning rod? All above, you aren't climbing on that, are you?
Only when it rains.
She's messing with you.
I should be used to it by now.
Listen, I need to run some errands at Mona's bakery. Could you watch Raya till I get back?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, Raya, how has your mother been, by the way? I haven't seen her in a few days.
She's good.
She's not, avoiding me, is she?
I mean, she doesn't go out much anyway.
Oh, what happened? I thought I'd been making a good impression.
You spent half the night fixing our door after she made a joke about it squeaking. Then you wouldn't stop flirting with my sister during dinner.
Well, I mean, we are dating.
Still gross.
Sorry. Adrianna wasn't mad, was she?
She couldn't get mad at you if she tried.
Okay. That's at least one thing I don't need to worry about. I have got to work on a way to store the lightning's electrical power. Then I can start making these lights more reliable.
Could you maybe find power that isn't lightning?
That would be the smart thing to do, but as of now, nothing's coming to me.
How about a treadwheel? Mother said she wants someone powering a crane.
Oh yeah? Who in this town would ever volunteer to run on that? I'd probably have to toss you in there.
Hannes ruffled Raya's hair.
So, what are you and Adrianna up to tonight?
Nothing much. Mother wants to go out berry picking in the morning, so she'll probably want us to get to bed early.
Early? What's the point of nighttime if you can't stay up late?
I wish. Mother says it's a waste of wax. Not everyone has a fancy electronic light.
Not yet.
Is that the good Dr. Hannes I see?
Both Hannes and Raya grimaced at the sound of Trademaster Gerrin, a pompous and aloof figurehead cursed with an arrogant face and a garish sense of style to match.
Oh, evening, Trademaster.
Saw that display you put on earlier. Shame these people are so uncivilized.
Oh, you did? I was under the impression you and your guards never left those fancy quarters of yours.
Not if I can help it.
Well, thank you for blessing us with your presence, O Lord.
Ah, I like this kid. She understands authority. Anyway, I better be off. Just wanted to give you a brief word of encouragement. After that shipwreck of an exhibition.
Consider me encouraged, then.
Glad to hear it. If you ever get sick of appeasing these ingrates and want to reach a wider audience, you should seriously consider meeting me for dinner these coming weeks.
Trademaster Gerrin slapped Hannes' back before stumbling off.
What was that about?
What else? Gerrin wants me to trade my inventions to neighboring villages.
Why is he so obsessed with trade? That sounds so boring.
It's the only reason he has any power in this town. He can't fathom that we've practically been self-sufficient for our entire lives.
Self-sufficient
means we can take care of ourselves. You want your tools fixed? Bake Gregor a pie. Need a pound of Pelta's butter? Offer to milk your cow for a day. We have no need for the coin of others to survive. We do just fine alone.
That doesn't sound very alone, though. I mean, you're still relying on others.
Yes, but we're a community. A single entity that works together.
Made up of separate people, though.
Depends on how you look at it.
This town is confusing.
You may be young, but you're gonna need to learn how things in this village work if you plan on living here.
I've got time. Mother keeps telling me not to worry about adult things and to just focus on being a kid.
Well, if she said it, she's probably right then.
Raya, let's go.
Coming. Have a good night, Hannes.
You as well.
Adrianna grabbed Raya's hand as she caught up. She flashed a smile back at Hannes, blowing him a kiss before she left. Together they slowly walked through the town as the sun swiftly set in the distance. All around, the townsfolk went about their business, each barely giving the sisters a passing glance as they approached their house, one of many identical wooden shacks.
Welcome home, girls.
Inside the house, Raya's mother was busy cooking. She glanced over her shoulder at both of her children. A strong sense of maternal warmth glowed in her eyes.
Hi, Mom. How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. I heard Hannes was giving another presentation in the square. Anything good?
Yeah, an infinite light that doesn't need wax.
Huh. Oh, really? That would save me a fortune.
Most of the town didn't like it.
Things take time to set in, Raya. Not everyone loves change as much as you.
Why not? It's fun.
Well, it's one of the beautiful things about people. We all handle things differently. Come on, dinner's ready.
This is delicious. Thank you.
So are you and him still...
Yes, we are. Why?
Just curious.
Are you seriously still upset about the other night?
What? No. Why on earth would you think that?
The man got excited about something he's passionate about.
Is that what the kids call it now?
All above. You know I wasn't talking about that.
Wait, what's she talking about?
Nothing, Raya. Oh.
If you would just let him apologize, he would.
I don't want him to apologize. He doesn't need to. I'm just worried that you're rushing into something.
You're one to talk.
Adrianna, watch yourself. You two are barely adults.
At least I've known him for more than a day.
Knew who?
That's different.
You're right. Hannes didn't get me pregnant.
Adrianna.
Is this about my dad?
Put Raya to bed. We can talk after.
Wait, I want to talk about him. I'm not even tired yet.
Raya. We have an early day tomorrow and you need to sleep.
Come on. I'll take you to your room.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, I just went a bit too far.
What are you and Mother going to talk about? Can I listen in? I can hide behind the door if you don't want her to see me.
All above, you're never going to sleep, are you?
Like I said, I'm not tired.
We have an early day tomorrow. You're gonna need your energy to keep up.
I can keep up easily.
You think so? You go ahead, I'll catch up.
I've been running all day, that doesn't count.
Sure. How about a bedtime story?
You know I'm 12, right?
Come on, for old time's sake.
Fine, but make it a good one.
I've got one for you. A little bit of a mystery.
Okay.
Well, you know Hanky, right? Miss Pelta's cow?
Yeah.
Well, one night, when it was just a calf, she went missing. Pelta had us all out searching for her that night. You were just a baby. This is where it gets interesting. We found her in her pen, as if she'd never left. Only, we found her with a pile of Iris's potatoes. Iris and Pelta haven't stopped fighting about it since.
How did you get out?
That's the mystery. The fence was intact and there were no holes anywhere. Ask Pelta and she'll swear someone planted the potatoes there.
I'm sure Hanky just slipped out between the wood.
Adrianna rubbed her hand on Raya's forehead softly.
Think about it, and you can tell me what you think happened tomorrow.
She began to exit the room, stopping just in front of the room's lit candle. She smiled to Raya as she pretended to twist the base of the wax.
Click.
Humored by her own joke, she placed the doubter over the flame. The dim light died, and her room became washed in the cold darkness.
Good night, Adrianna. See you bright and early.
Good night.
Outside, the rest of the town began to settle in as well, and slowly the dappling of candles began to disappear until only one remained in the window of Hannes' laboratory. A deep calm set in over the town as they all unknowingly enjoyed the last night of peace they would ever experience. As Raya slept, strange images flickered through her head like a rapid slideshow. A desert, broken buildings, a shimmering gray liquid, and a strange image almost incomprehensible to her mind.
What's happening to me? Look at me, goddammit. I'm doing what I need to survive. Please don't leave me.
Images of a strange syringe flashed as drops of deep red blood dripped into the shimmering liquid.
I loved you, son. I'm sorry you never got a chance to hear that from me. What a shitty father I could.
The rich red light of a fire filtered in through her window, drawing her attention to a distant smoking crater.
Mother? Adrianna?
They appeared to be completely undisturbed and fast asleep. She crept out of their room slowly before rushing out the door. She sprinted through the town. Surprisingly, she found no signs of anyone having been woken up by the impact.
I can't possibly be the only one who heard that.
After she reached the edge of town, she froze in place, awestruck as the red glow of the crater washed over her.
Raya?
Hannes?
Are you okay? Did you see? All above.
What is it?
It looks like a meteor.
A what?
It's a rock from outside our atmosphere.
Is it dangerous?
It shouldn't be. Not anymore, at least. We are extremely lucky it didn't land in town.
Why didn't anyone else wake up? It was so loud.
Loud?
Hannes scrunched his face into a look of confusion.
The massive crash? You must have heard it.
Raya? I saw it come down from my window. It was practically silent.
It had to make a noise. How does a rock smash down into the ground and not?
I'm not sure, but it did. I watched it.
No, I heard it. I was having this strange dream and a massive boom woke me up.
Raya, please. You go back to bed and I'll check it out. If I find anything, hell, even if I don't find anything, I'll come talk to you and Adrianna about it tomorrow morning.
What? No, are you insane?
Raya, it's a rock. Right now, the most dangerous thing is the insanely high temperatures around the crater. It'll be fine.
Then let me come with you.
Go home. Or maybe I should tell your mother you snuck out to a fresh crash site all alone.
Ah!
As Raya started walking back, Hannes was already making his way to the crater. As she reached her house, she paused. Looking back, she saw him descend deep into the crater and out of sight. Hours later, Raya somehow found the will to sleep again, until the sound of screaming snapped her up once more.
What the hell is that?
She stumbled out of bed quickly. Eagerness filled her head at the thought of hearing the town's reaction to last night's events. She could already hear their conversations from inside as she dressed herself.
This can't be real. It must be some sort of dream.
Not unless we're all dreaming.
Raya rushed to try and wake her family, only to find that their beds were already empty. Figuring they must already be outside, she sprinted to the door.
What?
Raya stared out with glazed eyes as she took in the horror of what was in front of her. A dark and unnatural sky lingered overhead as a massive and thick forest quelled all signs of the horizon. Their looming presence suffocated the small town in overwhelming dread. The townsfolk were in the midst of a panic, desperate to conjure up some explanation for the sudden growth. As the town's voices blurred together, a single terrifying thought pulled Raya's attention from the forest.
The berry bushes.
She sprinted over to the eastern edge of town, the direction she knew her mother would have taken.
Mom! Adrianna?
Raya desperately hoped with all her heart that, like the others, they'd be found merely gawking at the unusual growth. With each running step, the hope in Raya's stomach fermented into fear as she came face to face with the forest. She looked inside, unable to make out even the most basic of shapes between the thick collection of tree trunks. She backed up, readying herself to sprint inside.
Okay.
Raya, wait!
Let me go. I can still find them.
You can't go out there. We don't know what this is.
Raya barely had time to stop before the ground in front of her began to warp. Though the trees stood firmly in place, the grass and dirt seemed to rise and ripple around them like waves on an ocean. In the distance, a small scrap of familiar cloth washes along the viscous earth.
No. No!
With a broken heart, she rose, and without a single thought of herself, prepared to rush in yet again.
No! Let me go! That's her dress!
Raya looked back to see a long rope was wrapped around her ankle. She traced it back to the crudely built device on Hannes' wrist.
Get this off of me and let me find them. I'll be okay.
Everyone I've seen enter the forest so far hasn't come out yet. Gillian's daughter, Carmen, Adrianna. I'm not letting you take that chance.
Despite being freed, she didn't attempt to run, and instead sobbed into the ground as Hannes pulled her into a warm embrace.
It's okay. It's okay. You're okay. You're fine.
No, I'm not. They're in there and I should be too.
Hannes looked towards the center of town, eyeing the ringing bell as a crowd of villagers gathered around it, clear desperation in the air.
Everyone settle down.
Settle down? Who do you think you are, eh?
Unless you've all forgotten. You all elected me Trademaster for this very specific reason.
I don't remember electing you king.
I bet you're all curious why I rang us.
No, I'm sure we're pretty well aware.
Are you a moron?
I want to reassure you that this situation will be handled.
Well, that's so good to hear. Now, how exactly are you planning on doing that?
Probably gonna tell us to just ignore it, huh? Ugh.
What? No. But that being said, we shouldn't let this chaos uproot everything we've built.
Okay, you're right, Gillian. He is a moron.
Hannes stepped into the crowd, a sobbing Raya held in his arms. As he set her down, the crowd turned to him.
Hey, Hannes, what do you think?
You must know something about this, right?
You can figure this out.
Hannes froze in place. He looked at the group with an almost palpable sense of anxiety in his eyes.
Admittedly, not much.
Come on, help us!
Please, please, you have to help us.
This is hopeless.
For above's sake, calm down.
Slowly the group began to close in on Hannes and Raya. They reached out to the young man, desperate for help.
Wait a minute. This is ridiculous.
The crowd turned to Ollier, the town's carpenter, as he stood tall amongst the crowd.
We will get nowhere in this bloody panic. This is nothing more than a forest made of flimsy wood and trees. We're stronger than that, ain't we? I know my wood, but it doesn't take a carpenter to know we should burn this entire hell to the ground.
What if it isn't wood?
What would it be then? Sounds like you can't think of a good excuse. Those who are with me, gather what horses and torches you can. We ride immediately.
Moved by his pleas, 35 of the 45 remaining villagers began excitedly running to gather their supplies. Within minutes they returned, some atop horses and brandishing flaming torches, while others carried cooking knives and scythes. Hannes rushed to Gerrin.
You need to get your men out here to stop this, now!
Why should I? If these idiots wish to kill themselves, I say let them. My men are better suited where they belong. By my side. Besides, what will 2 guards mean to 35 angry villagers?
It's worth a try at least.
They don't know what they're getting into.
And neither do you, child. Perhaps this can be a learning experience for us all.
Thank you for your concern, Hannes. Perhaps once we've rescued the others, we can work together to get that idiot out of Town Hall.
If you succeed, I'll turn Town Hall into a giant outhouse.
As if it isn't already full of shit.
Ollier, give me a day to study this a bit more. Run some tests to see if it's dangerous. Come on, please.
A day without action is a day closer those lost get to dying. On my signal, everyone.
Y'all are very brave, Ollier, but I must agree with Hannes here.
Yeah, me too.
Don't listen to them. My leg were 4 years younger, I'd charge in with you.
Thank you, Gillian. If luck is on our side, you will have your daughter back in a day's time.
Ollier's gaze turned to the black sky.
That is, if days even still exist.
Aye. Bring her back to me, please.
Ollier nodded solemnly. Slowly he turned his head to face the imposing tree line. With a determined wave of his hand, the crowd of villagers steeled themselves for battle. Raya held her tongue, her mind torn between the desire to save those charging in and the possibility of them finding her family.
Godspeed.
As they crossed the threshold, the forest floor burst to life. Those who were the first to enter found their horses sinking into the ground as if they had plunged into a deep body of water. They desperately tried to reverse course, only for the next wave to collide with them head-on. The force launched the riders into the forest. Screams pealed through the darkness as the villagers tried to keep themselves above ground. Raya, Hannes, and the remaining villagers watched in horror as the last few survivors clung to the trees. Quickly, the screams began again as the very bark they clung to started to peel back, lowering them into the dirt to be consumed.
They're melting!
All above.
The group watched in horror as their bodies began to shift and warp as if they themselves began to melt into the dirt.
No. All above. What do we do now?
Oh my.
No.
Everyone get back. What's going on?
As shock silenced the onlookers, tears began to well up in Raya's eyes as the horrific fate of her family played out in front of her.
Well, at least we can all relax, knowing we made the right decision.
Gerrin walked away, followed by his 2 guards. The rest stayed behind, unable to fully process what they had just witnessed. Hannes looked down at Raya, his mind flooded with a concoction of fear, sympathy, and sadness.
Come on, Raya.
Without saying another word, he and Raya walked through the crowd and towards the lab which sat just next to the town center. As he approached his home, he couldn't help but feel a chilling tingle of dread down his spine as the supernatural forest lingered just at the edge of his view.
Are we going to be okay?
Hannes simply shook his head, unable to answer.
Do you think it has anything to do with that thing from space?
Stress forced Hannes to hide his face in his hands.
Do you think that's what happened to Mother and Adrianna too?
I don't know, okay? I'm sorry, Raya. That wasn't fair of me. I just can't wrap my head around any of this. First that meteor, now a massive living forest sprouts up in a matter of seconds. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
Maybe they are connected. Did you find anything in the crater?
There was nothing. Not even a fragment of the asteroid. Just hot dirt.
Do you think we're next?
No! No. I won't let that happen to us. We're going to be okay, and I'm going to figure this out for everyone. Just promise me you won't go into that forest.
I should have been out there this morning. Why did they leave me behind?
Raya, none of that matters right now. You need to promise me that you won't get yourself killed while I try to figure this out.
I promise.
Thank you. If you want, I can get you set up with a place to stay here. I can understand if you don't want to go home yet.
That would be nice. I don't want to go home.
I understand. Stay as long as you need.
Hannes glanced out the window to view the massive unending forest which encircled the small town. Raya noticed a look of genuine fear in his eyes.
Why don't you tell me about that new gadget?
My new... Oh, yeah. I'd love to. I've had this idea for a while. It's a long-range grabber.
That's really cool.
Hannes nodded his head slowly. His eyes stared down at it with a joyless, almost empty expression.
I'm sure a lot of them would have loved it.
I know she would have for sure.
They locked tear-filled eyes as Hannes ruffled her hair. In that short moment, Raya felt like she finally wasn't alone in her head.
Who am I kidding? She probably would have been the only one. Listen, whatever happens, I promise to keep you safe. For her and for you.
Do you think this is how life will be now?
In all honesty, we could make it work. We have farms, livestock, a well. I imagine it might be tight, but with only about 10 of us and the rations we have, I imagine we could live a pretty decent life.
One surrounded by a killer forest.
Hannes reached over. He pulled Raya into a somber embrace. He tried his hardest not to cry, yet the tears still streamed down his cheeks. Hours passed as the surviving villagers locked themselves in their homes, each determined to cope with the day's events in solitude. Raya's racing mind eventually found itself succumbing to fatigue as she began to sleep peacefully by the fireplace. Meanwhile, Hannes stood, staring out the nearby window. Minutes prior, he had been tinkering at his workbench when a strange white glow ripped his attention to the forest edge. There he stood, eyes locked with a ghostly pair of glowing white eyes. It took all of his courage to break the gaze, but when he did, he was horrified to discover the eyes belonged to a familiar face. Lurking at the edge of the forest were the ghostly visages of Raya's mother and Adrianna. For the first few moments, all memory of the forest seemed distant, but that pleasure was short-lived as she caught a glimpse of the unending darkness looming overhead.
Hannes? 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 You in here?
A familiar panic began to fill Raya as worst-case scenarios flooded into her brain. She rushed to another window, relieved to have found him outside.
You scared me to death! Hannes, you can't just disappear after what happened yesterday. Are you okay?
It's closer, Raya.
What?
The forest. It's moved nearly an entire yard forward.
What? How can you be sure?
The gate around Iris's farm. It's missing one of its sides.
What does that mean?
It means we only have a few days left.